Generative Fill is a retouch and repair tool within Illustrator that's newer. It is going to use Adobe's AI to come up with a solution for doing a repair. It's going to work real well in most cases. Might give you some awkward, strange results in others. Um, and I'm sure we'll get better as time goes along, but it's already pretty solid. So here's a before and after of this wall that I went in. Now, notice the original image has watermarks all over the place, and I was able to get those out of there for the most part. Whoops. As well as taking the graffiti off the wall, all using just generative AI. Couple notes on it. This is not a tool that has a keyboard shortcut. It's going to be visible in your contextual taskbar. If you are not seeing the contextual taskbar, then you're going to want to click on Window and go down. Make sure that that is checked right there, and then you'll see it floating around as you're getting ready to do various actions on images. And then, yeah, this is something that for more complex removal of entire objects, things that have more complicated backgrounds, things that are just going to be very difficult to do in a more manual way with some of the tools that we've been talking about that are more quick and easy fixes. This is going to be one that you could go through and try to do it all manually, but at this point, there's not much reason to do that with the latest tools in Photoshop in play. So let's talk a little bit about how it works. Show you a couple examples. So here I have this image. Again, I do need to rasterize it in order to do anything with it. And then here I've got my contextual taskbar down below. So I use my selection tool. I'm just going to use polygonal lasso tool because I prefer that one. And then I can just start to click around whatever it is I want to fix. Click here in contextual taskbar. I don't need to type anything. That's going to be for different types of generative AI, but I'm just going to leave that blank and click generate. It then uses Firefly, which is Adobe's AI generator, and it's going to, within the properties, spit out a couple of different options of repairs. And you can click through them and choose the one you like, or you can generate more if you don't really like any of them, or if one's close, and any of these are fine. But if one's close but not quite there, you can click on the three dots and generate similar. And then what it does is it actually creates a new layer with a mask on it. Here is a generative layer, and it just sits right on top of that underlying image. So what I did here with this group that's fully cleaned up is just, I did it in a couple of phases actually. I went through and initially cleaned up all of the watermarks, and I had a separate generative layer that I then just flattened down to the underlying image, and it was pretty cleaned up at that point. And then I went in and selected all of the graffiti and did one more big generative layer over top of that, and it didn't have to try to think about what those watermarks were at that point. And yeah, it worked pretty well. Another basic example, something like this. So I would take selection tool, click. This of course has a complex background. It would be difficult to try to create and fill in and remove this figure manually. So I'm just going to click around her, leaving a bit of space so that I can begin to sample some of that background. Generative fill, click generate, and then let's see what it comes up with. And if we're lucky, it'll come up with something strange, but more than likely it'll be pretty accurate to what you would imagine. And yeah, these are all perfectly fine solutions to that problem, and some are going to be better than others, but that's where you choose one and say, yep, that looks good. Pretty seamless, right? So yeah, this is one of the many newer AI tools within Photoshop.